Welcome to a new episode of Let's Get It Right with me, your host, Vernon Wright. Be sure to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at Right Leader. Hashtag that's impact the right way. And as well, be sure to go ahead and pay attention and follow Many Voices of Grit at the two hashtags, the Many Voices of Grit and the Spirit of Grit. You guys know that we have been privileged and honored to have a variety of guests on the show, and more are coming. But I'm going to go ahead and let you know right now today that this guest is someone who is a household name within the educational space, within Twitter. So I am privileged, I am honored, and just absolutely pleased beyond what words can express to have this guest on the show. But before I mention this guest's name, stay with me real quick, because you probably see the title of this show, and the title of this show is Grit to Greatness. Let me say that one again, because you might have missed that one. Grit to Greatness. And I'm sure that when I introduce this guest, you'll go ahead and say, you know what, Vernon, you got that title right. So today we have the pleasure of having Tara Martin with us on the show. Tara, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Awesome. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on the show, Vernon. I'm truly honored and grateful of this episode. So a little bit about me. I like to introduce myself as an educator and administrator, coach. I'm a coach at heart. Like that is my heart. If people ask me, what do I do on a daily basis? That's the piece that I love the most. Is just helping people identify their strengths and helping them stretch themselves to the next level. That's one of my roles that I love the most. A teacher. I am a mom and a wife and just a really busy lady. I love to write. I love to spend my time reading. I read a lot of books. I'm the Book Snaps founder. And most recently, the author of Be Real, Educate from the Heart. So I just love to do all things educational and all things learning. That's me. That's Tara in a nutshell.
Well, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you guys right now, and this is me saying it. Tara did not ask for me to do this, but I'm going to do it because you know that when I get in front of a camera and I speak to you, my viewers and my audience, I'm just going to tell you how it is, right? If you don't have the book Be Real, you need to get it, all right? You just need to get it.
Oh, thank you.
Absolutely. You know, Tara, my viewers know, and for those of you that have just started following me recently, you now know. If you don't know, now you know, right? That I just go ahead and I put it real with folks, and that's one of the reasons why I like your book, Be Real, and just let them know the things that will really help them in their professional career. Even for those folks that may be watching us, and we have some of you that are out there, you think I don't know, but I do, that are not even in education. So, little tip for you there, guys. So, with that being said, is obviously, many of our viewers know you have a wealth of experience in education. Let's jump into the first question. And I want to ask you this. You have been in a variety of roles, as you shared. What have been some moments of grit? Because, of course, this episode is from grit to greatness. What have been some of those moments of grit that you went through in your professional career, and maybe you didn't even know that they were moments of grit until later? Talk to us a little bit about those.
Would love to. You know, Vernon, as a little girl, I grew up in a kind of a yucky home life, a lot of yucky home life. School was a safe place for me. And at an early age, I just craved learning. I wanted to be a learner so much, and I wanted to overcome my circumstances. And I believed my second grade teacher when she would tell me that, like, Tara, I believe in you. You got this. But, you know, at the time as a child, I thought that was just unfortunate for me, you know, like kind of pity me at the time. But as I've grown into an educator, a leader, an inspirational speaker to students, I get to speak at assemblies and I get to speak to educators across the nation. And I've learned that those experiences have made me who I am. And not only that, Vernon, they've taught me grit. And the reason why is because obstacles were constantly blocking me from moving forward. And just when I thought like I would maybe give up, I didn't give up and I just kept trying. And because of that, I understand what it's like to overcome so many adversities and go for your goals and go for those things that you want to be and be who you've set out to be, even if it's so different. As a first generation graduate, you know, it's so different than the path that many of my family members have taken. But it doesn't matter. Like, if you can just, like, for me, it's helped me to empathize with those that are going through tough times and having all these obstacles blocking their way. I'm like, no, you keep pushing and you can do this. If you set your mind to it, you can overcome. And I call it reaching past that point of that extreme weariness. And that's where the grit comes into play. And you just do what you know to do. You take the next step and the next step and the next step until you get from grit to greatness.
Yeah, and you know, that's phenomenal. And what you just shared, really the whole answer obviously is phenomenal. But I want to go ahead and point our viewers and our audience to that last part that you just shared particularly. And Ed Milet, some of you all know, very famous gentleman that is an entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur, worldwide personal motivational speaker, calls it compound pounding. And that's just exactly what you described, Tara, and that's phenomenal, because basically what happens is we know that life sometimes presents resistance, right? But I think sometimes, just from my own perspective, that life almost tries to test us and see, you know, are you really serious about this?
Mm-hmm.
And I knock you down one time and you'll just go ahead and give up. But it's almost like the world and the universe and society and circumstances are looking to see, will you fall down 7 times and get back up an 8th time?
Mm-hmm.
And when we do that and we show our true selves to be absolutely committed to what we're trying to get, that's when the breakthrough comes in.
Exactly.
It's when it happens, right? So
right.
what I want to say, and I want to shift from that first question to the second question, and leverage and build upon what we did in the first one, and shift it to some of those roles that you have talked about before that you've been a part of. And obviously you've been in different leadership positions. If someone were to come to you and say, Tara, I understand and I know that, you know, you're in my leadership chain of command, you're a leader to me, help me to get through this process where I'm trying to find what grit means to me. I've watched the YouTube videos, I've read the books, and I'm still not clear. What would you do, Tara, from your own experience, to help a person navigate and get through that process to find their own version of grit?
Yeah, you know, I think that's a great question. And I actually am going to answer the question with the idea of asking a question, because, you know, we can't, as a leader, I think sometimes you can't see what's happening on the inside of those you serve, right? Especially as a speaker. So now in my role where I'm traveling around and I meet people all over the world. And when they come to me and say they were asked something like that, I can't possibly know like what that person, that individual has gone through, but I can definitely ask a question. So I like to lead with what I call humble inquiry, and maybe just asking them, tell me about a moment. Tell me about a moment in your life when you had met resistance and you didn't give up. Like, no matter how many walls kept blocking you, you kept knocking them down. Like, tell me about a moment in your life like that. And then if it's something professional I'm wanting them to attain, or if it's professional grit they're hoping to attain, I would help them to take that moment in their life and compare it to this professional obstacle that they're facing. And how can you use what you did in that situation before, the grit, that was grit, to overcome this situation here in our professional world. And I think if you can help people to draw those connections, and you lead with a question, you don't try to point out anything that they've done or not done, but you lead with a question, you allow them to share their story. You allow them to share that inner struggle that they dealt with to get to that place called grit. And then you help them to apply it in their new situation. So that's what I would do.
Once again, a phenomenal answer to another question. I will tell you, and you know, I'm very transparent. I try to be with you all, the viewers and the audience. I have, and I am absolutely honored to have the privilege to interview a great guest like Tara. But I watch the videos too myself. And I will tell you what I just took from that last snippet that you shared with us, Tara, and that was this: questions and connections.
Mm-hmm.
So guiding questions to get us to where we want to be, and connections, taking something from over here in my life and something from over here in my life and putting them together. I'm going to say that one more time for you all that are watching: questions and connections. And if you're in a leadership role, when we go back on Tuesday, you probably want to go ahead and lead with your thinking on questions and connections. So with about 4 minutes left here with the viewers, and I wish that we had more time, but obviously we do have time constraints and we want to honor that. But with about 4 minutes left, I want to ask you, Tara, if you had the ability to go back in time in a time machine and give your younger self a letter, all this, letters from the future, what wisdom and guidance and insight would you put in that letter that you would give your younger self? What would you put in that letter? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, this is kind of an emotional question. Like it's, you know, I think about that little girl with the crooked pigtails who often just felt, you know, pushed aside or wondered, like, am I dreaming too big? Is this too big of a dream that I can actually attain? I think I would tell that little girl, you can do anything you set your mind to. I mean, that's just it. Like, I believe that, and I have lived that, and I have lived through grit. But I think I would go back and tell that little girl, like, just, you can overcome anything you set your mind to. But you have to work your butt off. And it's not going to come easy. And you just keep doing what you do and put a smile on your face and bring those that you can along with you. But you are an overcomer. That's just all there is to it. There's no matter what the haters say, you're an overcomer and you got this. Like, that's what I would tell my younger self.
That is great. Phenomenal answer. I mean, I'm just going to let you know, folks, and you all have heard me say this before, and it definitely applies to this episode. This is an episode you're going to want to watch over and over, and obviously as well, make sure that you share this with your colleagues so they can go ahead and they can benefit from it as well. You know, I often say that is paying it forward. So make sure that, you know, you help out your colleagues and friends and family, even those that are not in education, by referencing this video. We have about 2 minutes left, Tara, and with about 2 minutes left, I just want to go ahead and open it up here at the end and just go ahead and ask you, is there anything that you would want to leave the viewers with? They've watched the video, they've watched you go through the 3 questions, and you just say, you know what, here we are at the end. What would you want to leave them with?
Well, you know, Vernon, I just believe with my whole heart that every one of us, it doesn't matter your profession, you know, if you strip away titles and you strip away any of that, any of the titles or things that you think you hold, statuses, we're all real humans with real stories. And so I think it's important just to be real, to be relatable, expose vulnerability, approachable, and learning through life, because that is the piece that connects every one of us, no matter what country, no matter what island we live on, no matter what color our skin, any of that. We have to be real, and we have to empower the students and the people that we serve to be real. And that's what I would leave our viewers. Just stay real. Just keep it real.
Stay real, keep it real. Make sure you get the book, Be Real. All right. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, the many voices of grit through the life this time of the wonderful, awesome, and phenomenal Tara Martin. Be sure that you follow the message and the spirit of grit at the 2 hashtags, the many voices of grit and the spirit of grit. You see those up on your screen. Until next time, remember, feed your brain, feed your soul, and absolutely grow your role. That's impact the right way. See you next time.